Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Marcel. Glad to see so many people this late in the day, and happy to have a great panel here next beside me. We are going to talk about DeFi, about NFTs, about recent trends, about what happened, what's gonna happen. You all heard of incredible hacks that have happened where hundreds of millions got lost. You may have read about a visual image of a rock that has been sold for billions of dollars. So we will touch on that. That was maybe a bit of the, yeah, you could say the downside of DeFi, but we will discuss all those things to cut the noise. And so we dive down to the signal. And yeah, some of you probably know some people here on the panel, but I may kindly ask for yourselves to give a brief introduction on yourself and the company you work for.
Okay, cool. Hey, let me start. Hi, guys. I'm Stefan. I work for Blockchain. It's right behind me. And we build node infrastructure, meaning we build the base layer of all the cool stuff that is built on top, granting people access to 50 blockchains, doing staking for like 30. And also building a pretty cool NFT data API. That's me.
All right. Hi, I'm Peter. I'm CTO and co-founder at Unstoppable Finance. And our mission is to bring decentralized finance to the masses. And how are we doing this? So we're working on a non-custodial wallet, which is really built for the mass customer. So no technical speech, no complicated lingo. So we make it very easy to users to invest into DeFi and to do the first steps. And yeah, so pretty exciting.
Yes, hi, my name is Jamil. I'm from New York City. I have about 20 plus years of experience in banking and fintech. I run two companies, Chain House, which is a blockchain advisory, and Instament, which is an enterprise financial NFT API and analytics company. I'm also a professor at Columbia Business School at NYU and Zhejiang University in China. I teach blockchain at the graduate level. I also run a CBDC think tank. We engage with central banks globally on their CBDC efforts. I'm an author. I just wrapped up a book 2 years ago on Mastering Corda called Mastering Corda, which is a book. It was a technical book. It was a developer book for DLT. I'm currently writing a business book on DeFi for Columbia Press and co-authoring a NFT book with Cambridge Press. Hopefully that'll be out this year. I run the largest blockchain community in New York City. It's called Blockchain NYC. So if you're ever in New York City, please stop by and check us out. And I run some really popular assets like blockchain101.com, which is growing pretty fast. It's educational if you want to learn about DeFi.
Hi, I'm Anna Graf. I'm director NFT for Misa.art. Misa.art is a marketplace that connects like all worlds. We sell physical art like prints and fine art, also NFTs, and hopefully very soon fractionalized ownership of great artworks. Misa.art was started in 2020. Due to Corona, we realized that online is the thing also for the art market, and it was just like a thing to evolve it into an NFT marketplace as well, because this really connects like all the dots. So we have the traditional collectors that we bring into from our original gallery, the König Gallery, and we also onboard new collectors from the crypto market getting into the traditional art market. So it's a super cool connection. And if you want to know more, my colleague Ivor and I will be having a presentation in about 30 minutes after this panel. So yeah, feel free to join us there as well. Thank you.
So I think that makes me last in the round, right?
Correct.
I hope you can hear me well. So unfortunately, I cannot be with the community in Frankfurt, but that the Corona restrictions are finally ending. That means that everybody is now organizing physical conferences, which is great, and it's great to meet people in person. So unfortunately, I need to be in London these days for fundraising, which for early stage, mid stage, growth stage startup, wherever we are right now, is the main activity to make our product even greater. You will know Nuri, perhaps even under the old name Bitwala. We are the most crypto-native bank account in the world, I still would argue. Nobody else has cracked that to bring crypto so close to a bank account. And we see this game way beyond cryptocurrencies. We believe that financial products will be on blockchain rails in the future. So we are currently extending the product to become the neobank, not only for cryptocurrencies, but the neobank for creating your wealth and managing your wealth with products which are going beyond pure investments in cryptocurrencies. Stay tuned, more to come in the next weeks.
Great, thank you guys very much for the introduction. I would like to start with DeFi, a quite mystical term. There are a lot of perspectives on it. So Shamil, you mentioned that you've read a book or are about to publish a book on DeFi. Can you give us a little bit of insight on how what do you understand?
Yeah, sure.
DeFi?
I did read a book about DeFi and a few other books as well. Yeah, so my definition of DeFi is a little bit different than the market definition. So if you look at the market and you look at the academic literature, a lot of what DeFi is defined is basically finance on the blockchain, obviously decentralized and all of that, right? But the definition that I'm focusing on is more around the value proposition of what DeFi is doing as a movement. And the way that I define it is it's a gamified Darwinian crowdsourced financial engineering, right? So that is at the core what DeFi is. And gamified means that it's basically a set of incentives and disincentives. There's a system of tokens that can you can reward you or punish you. And it's Darwinian, meaning that there is this constant race for somebody to produce a better and better protocol. And the minute somebody does have a better protocol, or they are offering more returns for the certain amount of risk, money and capital flows very, very rapidly. And it's crowdsourced, meaning that anybody, two guys and a dog in a basement can come together and create a protocol, and then all of a sudden they're managing $5 billion within a week or 2 weeks, right? And so that's very, very different. I used to work for a company called Lehman Brothers. There was this hot area within Lehman Brothers called mortgages. You may have heard of it. And for us to come up at that time, this is a long time ago, for us to come up with a product, right, a new financial product, it was a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year process. And today we're coming up with products very, very rapidly. So DeFi is not about AMMs and all those kind of things. Those are outcomes, those are results of this kind of gamified Darwinian crowdsourced financial engineering where anybody can sit down and typically they don't have a lot of financial skills. They come in and say, well, I'm going to study this paper and I'm going to put it into code and I'm going to deploy it onto the blockchain and then see what happens. And that's very, very new for us as a human civilization.
Yeah, Peter, I saw you were thinking. Do you have anything to add?
Well, so not really to add, so that's a very extensive definition. So mine is a little bit shorter, so I always call it financial services delivered by smart contracts. And I always explicitly say financial services because I think kind of like the first wave of crypto adoption was mostly led by kind of cryptocurrency trading. So in the end, kind of like speculating on higher prices. I think this like a big industry was created by that. And I think in DeFi, the value proposition is different. It's really about delivering financial services, so like getting a loan or getting like a secured loan and so on and so forth, and trading facilities and so on. And I think it's like a completely different value proposition, and I think that's important to highlight because I think still for many people out there, so outside this room or outside this house, crypto is still like a bubble with a lot of speculation. But I think DeFi is really, really making big changes here.
If you would explain it to someone by means of examples, what would be the easiest example? Maybe your signature example to give someone an idea of what DeFi is, a use case.
Well, so for me, well, I think the secured loan is one that's quite easy to explain. But also in workshops, I always give the example for an automated market maker. So maybe who in the audience knows what an automated market maker is and how this works? Okay, so it's half of the people maybe. Okay, perfect. So then I can explain it because I always compare it with. So maybe you guys were in the. Let's make it a little bit entertaining here. Maybe some of you when you're going by car, like on the land side, so there's sometimes people selling the honey that they produce themselves. Yeah, so there's like a little shelf, and there's five jars of honey, and then a little pot of money. And in the end, so you kind of put money in the pot, and you take off one jar of honey, and that is kind of how an automated market maker is working. So there's kind of liquidity for example, USDC and for cryptocurrency, and in the end, you put kind of money in the one pool, and you get out the cryptocurrency from the other, and the product of kind of like both pools stays always the same. So kind of if like the honey costs €5 and there's 5 jars, so then it's kind of 25 euro in total. And in the end, so the product stays always the same. And so this is like super easy. Of course, like in cryptocurrencies, the prices are developing in different ways. So in the end, you need to have arbitrageurs and kind of making sure that kind of the pool size also reflects kind of with the market valuation. But so that's how it works in principle, and I think that's quite easy to digest.
A very interesting answer. Thank you. Stefan Block-Diemen is very well engaged in infrastructure and staking. How do you consider staking in regards to DeFi? Is it part of DeFi? Is it something different? What's the purpose of staking?
Yeah, thanks. That's a lot of questions. First of all, I guess DeFi really is a broad term. I guess you could also make a case that Bitcoin itself is like DeFi because it's peer-to-peer payment, right? Which is decentralized by nature. But I always say that staking is I think it's like the entry to DeFi together with maybe lending and borrowing. It's really easy to understand. And it's basically something like a fixed income product that is really easy to understand also for people that have never been in contact with crypto. So I think, if you will, it's like the entry drug for some maybe. And I think it's also a product that is not only easier to understand, but maybe also a little easier to build a regulatory framework around. Which seems really important these days because not only is it a product that is really easy to use by everyone in here, but it's also something that we see really increasing demand by financial institutions, asset managers, and so on. Yeah, and so staking certainly is like the entry door to DeFi, but I would say also you have to understand, as you said, blockchain builds infrastructure. The proof of stake is just the underlying protocol or consensus mechanism on top of which then a lot of stuff is built. So if you want to do more than staking, right, you get these AMMs and whatnot. And so yeah, it's always the underlying infrastructure, brings the security to the protocol, and is interesting in itself and easier to understand.
Yeah, talking about easier to understand and maybe onboarding the masses as well. Christoph, I hope you can hear me. Nuri has built a very, very great app and made it possible to invest easily into cryptocurrencies. How do you plan on doing that with NFTs?
Yeah, I would wish to say as easy as with crypto. But let me perhaps go one step back. Why do we believe so much in the anchor product we have as the bank account? We believe that customers still receive their salary in euros. They still pay the landlord's rent in euros. So the anchor product for like the first touch point of a financial decision is still and will be for quite some time a bank account in traditional euro currency. And also from really big masses and big mainstream parts of the market, this perhaps is even the only product they have. They perhaps have no Trade Republic for trading. They definitely don't have any DeFi apps and other wallets on their phones. Perhaps they really don't do anything besides having it on a bank account and doing their payments. So we very much believe that this is the lowest level financial product the most people have and from which the journey starts. And this is why it was so important for us to build cryptocurrencies very, very close to that, to open the market, to give the opportunity to people to enter this space, to make a financial decision, say, yeah, I want to be part of that. I want to create value perhaps with that. Perhaps I want to cross the bridge to do further things with cryptocurrencies in the decentralized space. That's all great. So we have a second very important principle, which is curation. And that leads a little bit to the topic of NFTs. What do I mean with curation? So we have Bitcoin and Ether. We don't have any other cryptocurrency in our offering. And we believe that for the mainstream customer I just have described, this is very much for purpose. Because if we would have Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum Classic, our customers would ask, oh, Ethereum Classic, that sounds more classy. Is that even better than Ethereum? I should perhaps buy that. Or Bitcoin Cash that only costs 200 euros. But I cannot afford a whole Bitcoin, which people believe is a thing. I just buy the Bitcoin Cash. Perhaps it goes also up to 40,000. So, and to really curate and educate the product for a mainstream customer who has very, very few touch points, not only with DeFi or like crypto, like with every financial product, it's important to scale down, to take them by the hand, to make a very sorted and reduced and clean product. So now we talk about NFTs, and I would really hope that this would be able for NFTs. But like NFTs by nature are very unique. They are non-fungible. So these are all single decisions. So we cannot so easily curate and educate the customer down to the 5 NFTs which matter, because by nature there's millions, and there will be with the NFT use cases, which perhaps were already discussed in the conference, there will be millions of NFTs. So the curation part is really, really hard. So most likely in a platform like ours, we will, because we are a neobank to grow your wealth. So the investment part will be important for us, not the use cases of NFTs where they are perhaps symbolizing a membership or being an entry ticket or anything like that. Most likely for us, it will be NFTs which are basically storing and creating value, and then most likely in a bundled way, in which we create kind of a basket of blue chip NFTs. That is the most likely application for a platform like ours for a mainstream customer.
And you guys are tokenizing art. Do you see your art on Nuri's platform in the future?
I just wanted to say, this is what we do, curating art, so that you really know that you're buying something sustainable. And when you check out our marketplace, you will see that we have also different applications that help us find the value of an NFT already, so that you can always be sure, okay, when you buy through Misa.art, you will get a valuable NFT, because this is what we're all looking for at the moment. There's OpenSea, there's so many NFTs. And talking about blue chip NFTs, this is also very interesting for the DeFi part, because you own this NFT, but in the end you have no liquidity. And if you only own this one single ape, you might never ever want to sell it. So how can you generate a passive income? Because this is what I'm facing with many of my friends. And there comes the staking part again, or even using the NFT as a collateral, like you can also do with artwork. And then you have the chance also during a bear market, which most people in the NFT space are of course afraid of. What happens then? What will survive? To still generate a passive income that will lead you through this time. And I think this is why it's super important to have this curational part as well, to educate people on what they are buying and help them to be a guide through the space. And yeah, super cool what you're doing. I think we should connect after that.
Jamil, do you see DeFi and NFT melting?
Yeah, I think, in some ways they are, like DeFi may be the umbrella, and NFT is maybe a branch of DeFi. Obviously, they're already started melting, they're already converging. I remember when I was working on a project with the World Bank in 2019. We were putting Haiti on a blockchain for their mango supply chain system, and we were tracking shipping containers, and we were tracking using NFTs, and nobody was talking about NFTs at that time, right? So it's kind of inherent in blockchain that there are things that have unique identifiers, and most business assets, like most things naturally, are unique, right? So a human, a snowflake, a tree, they're all unique things. And so to represent that and to be able to sell and trade all of that, you will need NFT tokens, right? And I think the pendulum is going to swing. We're swinging in one direction right now, where we're talking about tokenization. We're talking about making all of these things available on the blockchain, and then eventually it will swing the other way when I buy equities or I buy a credit default swap, and it's already underneath tokenized and it's NFT, but I don't really know, or I don't really care, much like how we we use, for example, a fixed protocol to trade. You don't really, if you're trading on a trading floor, you don't really care what protocol is being used when you're trading. And so we're going to swing that back that way, and maybe it'll take 10 years, 15 years, maybe longer. But I think it's that you cannot separate the two. They're intricate parts of each other. They're like two sides of the same coin. And fungibility is the exception, right? In most cases, fungibility is the exception, and non-fungibility is maybe the default.
Yeah, very interesting. Peter, do you have anything to add?
Well, I had to smile a bit of the question because I think the prices are melting, but at least of the NFTs. But
that's good. Jamil, you talked a little bit about NFT data. We talked earlier about what Instamint is doing. Let's say I want to put my NFT to use, and I want to have it as a collateral. When do I get liquidated? How are the prices found? What's the mechanism behind it? Do you have any idea how that could look like? And maybe you can shed some light on what kind of NFT data you guys are collecting.
Yeah, so what Instamint does is we have an API called Yield. So we have 3 APIs, Meta, Disperse, and Yield. What Yield does is does the analytics for you and goes to the best of breed DeFi protocols, collects risk-reward data, and then provides it to the caller of the API. And so here's your menu of things where you can stake your NFT, and here's your risk reward profile, and then you can decide via API where you want to stake. So we don't get into the liquidation portion. That's up to the protocol. We kind of create that bridge in. But we also do allow business users. So our view is like in 10 years, all B2B transfer of value will be NFT based. If I send you an invoice, it will be an NFT. You send me a receipt, it will be an NFT. And so our goal, what we do is we have a tool, we're adding a tool, it's not ready yet, where you can visually design, just visually drag and drop and create assets and then deploy that on chain, right? So you don't need a smart contract developer, because most of that smart contract is pretty simple to do if it's kind of like simple type of data or a certain type of data. And so we're building this tool called Designer, where you can say, hey, I'm going to drag in a maturity date, I'm going to put in an interest rate, I'm going to call this my bond, and then I can mint against that bond. And so that's where we're looking. We see like maybe in 5 to 10 years, the entire financial infrastructure will be driven by these type of tools, and then underneath it all is just blockchain, and nobody cares, nobody knows.
Christoph, is that something Nuri could be interested about? Because you said you want to make it very easy, you want to reduce risk for your consumers. Is pre-selection of NFTs something that you would consider?
Yes, I think that is the field I also described, between like going to OpenSea and being able to choose between millions of NFTs, and then how to curate that down to a selection which inside the app still stays kind of clean, and you don't click and scroll through thousands. So because our philosophy is to really, really significantly put things together, and rather offering baskets, perhaps rather like, I hesitate a little bit to use the word fund, because for that you would be in investment law, and that is not what I want to describe. But think a little bit about it, that like in a fund manager is pre-selecting the stocks, where the fund manager has made an analysis, has research on, and believes that these are sustainable and worth to invest. And the same, I think, would need to apply for, again, we're talking about NFTs for an investment case. I very much believe that 80% of the NFT market, if not more, will be not I want to make money or create more wealth space, but rather use cases in which the NFT is a part of my appearance in the metaverse, the NFT is my ticket for an event, etc. And that also will need a bridge. That also will need a fiat bridge, because I still will pay this ticket, which is an NFT on my phone, to go into a concert room. I will pay that with euros. So these are basically 2 use cases we're thinking about. The payment use cases for NFTs, but those most likely will not then be listed, let's call it, inside of our app, because we don't want to have an ugly app. And the second thing is, okay, people want to invest in the space. Okay, how do we facilitate that in a mostly condensed? Again, we're not talking about, I don't want to even list 10, and not even 8 NFTs. We're talking about a really, really condensed way to put NFTs together and give customers leverage to the value development of that basket.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Sounds quite ambitious. Looking forward to see how that will develop. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I want to give the last words to Stefan and Anna. Stefan, as far as I know, Blockdaemon has also been working on an NFT data platform, on an API. So what is that doing, and what part of the NFT sector do you think is the most promising?
Yeah, thanks. So exactly, we have a data API already anyway. It's called Ubiquity and basically gives you data access to, at the moment, 15 blockchains. And we dove a little bit deeper now, especially on the Ethereum blockchain, basically indexing more or less all NFT collections that there are, capturing all the data about it, all the parameters that they have, the images and so on, giving you live information about the holders, the wallets, the smart contracts, and what has happened in the past. Just to, and I would say this might be interesting for you if you haven't built it on your own to some degree already, just to, again, allow people to interact with the NFTs and build data analytics tools on top of it, or anything else they can imagine. Because I think the NFT space, if it is one thing at the moment, it's really intransparent, and you know, to come up with good answers to how to collateralize NFTs and so on, it just needs better data transparency, and this is what we're working on.
Cool.
Or we could build it out and you can buy us out. So that's another option. So, but yeah, I have a question for Anna, which is,
last words.
The last words is, so where do you see the art world in 10 years?
Yeah, okay, this is a super nice question. I love it. And it brings us back to the emotions that art always converts also, not only the financial aspect. I hope that the art world in 10 years will be a lot more inclusive, a lot more accessible for people, not only in the real world, but also in the metaverse, because this is what we're trying to connect. And the metaverse, it is just something that people think of in very different ways right now. But it is also, I think it's starting. For me, it started with social audio, for example, and it now converts into metaverses that already exist. But I think every experience, also the immersive experience that you are having now with graphic Anadol and museums, it all leads us to a new way of experiencing art through technology. And I hope this will just help us everyone enjoy it more and not make it too financial sometimes, because this is why I'm into the art world. Thank you.
Great last statement. Thank you guys very much. I know we jumped a little bit between NFTs and DeFi, but we've also uncovered that the two are meld inevitably and are already about to do so. So yeah, thanks for the insights and the exchange, and have a good day.
Goodbye, everyone.